May I now invite Mr. Young Jin Kim, Executive Director, Regional Development Division of our co-partner, Korea Development Bank, to make a keynote address.
Good morning. I'm Young Jin Kim, Executive Director of the Regional Development Division at the KDB. Nice to meet you all. I'll be serving as a keynote speaker. As a keynote speaker, there's a lot of ground I need to cover, but allow me to go through the topics I'd like to talk about. I'd like to acknowledge Korea Ocean Business Corporation CEO Yang-Soo Kim, Busan Finance Center President Myung-Ho Lee, and many others representing financial institutions and the marine industry for being here with us. On behalf of the KDB, I'd like to thank all of you. Marking the 17th anniversary, this forum, first inaugurated in 2007, has addressed key issues of the marine industry each year and developed into a venue to listen to insightful presentations and in-depth discussions among experts from home and abroad. I hope that today's event will be a great opportunity to explore ways forward for Korea's marine industry. And here, I'll be listening to latest trends in the shipping industry and transition to eco-friendliness and the financing industry, particularly the role of the KDB in my remarks. Distinguished guests, in his book, Time of Sea, a world-renowned scholar Jacques Attali wrote, quote, "The greatest superpower of the future will emerge through and thanks to the sea," unquote. During the Industrial Revolution, the British built a great empire where the sun didn't set, based on maritime dominance spanning the 5 oceans. For the sea is a nearly bottomless pit of resources and an optimal route for effectively transporting enormous amounts of goods. Despite having started with an acute lack of infrastructure, Korea's marine industry has built world-class shipyards and grown the Busan port into a first-class port. 99.7% of Korea's import and export cargoes are transported by ship. The marine industry itself forms part of crucial infrastructure and is an important link between the country and the world. However, the industry is confronting new challenges of late. Global inflation and subsequent tightening measures in each nation are undermining the global economy, while wars continue to destabilize the global political landscape. Additionally, an eco-friendly transition due to more stringent international environmental regulations, such as for vessels' pollutant emissions, is emerging as an important issue. The keywords of the global marine industry today are change and innovation. The shipbuilding industry, the first industry to address, has a big impact on downstream and upstream industries. Being technology, capital, and labor-intensive, it has stiff global competition. After a period of spectacular growth between the early 2000s and 2008, just before the financial crisis, the industry experienced a prolonged slump. Yet, logistical disruptions caused by COVID-19, strengthening environmental regulations, and market changes resulting from a digital transformation are providing a tailwind for the industry. More specifically, Korean shipyards have already secured the 3 years' worth of order and are focusing on cutting-edge, high-value-added vessels, such as LNG vessels. This bodes well for the industry, at least for the time being. The shipping industry is influenced by global economic fluctuations. Recently, hikes in interest rates and economic slowdown have dampened global maritime shipping demand, and freight rate indexes are generally on a downward trend. BDTI and SCFI have recently continued to go down. This is because the economic slump has impacted marine trade, and container vessels, which were ordered during a period of booming freight rates, have recently started to be delivered in large numbers, causing an oversupply of vessels. Despite a recent rise in BDI, it is no time to relax, considering the seasonality of demand for bulk vessels, such as coals and grains, being concentrated in Q3. Alongside this, an upward trend in U.S. Treasury notes is putting strains on national flag carriers relying on foreign currency financing. We vividly remember the major crisis faced by the domestic shipping industry in 2006, brought on by a vessel oversupply and plummeting freight rate indexes. It will take the strengthening of fundamentals and core competitiveness to avoid a repeat of such crisis. The latest buzzword for the port infrastructure market is enhancing competitiveness through digital smart technology. Smart port systems involve using digital technology to automate cargo handling and optimize the flow of goods. Busan New Port will soon welcome the completion of fully automated piers fitted with automated guided vehicles, or AGVs. Also, Gwangyang Port and Chine Port are working to introduce smart port systems. Busan Port ranks 7th globally in container traffic and handles the world's second-largest transshipment volume, despite lacking a nearby logistic airport. Still, it's no time to rest on our laurels. Advanced countries are building smart ports and competing hard to become logistic hubs. Without port automation technology and making outdated ports smart, we won't be able to keep up with rapid changes in global logistics and remain a global trade hub. It is imperative to transform conventional ports into international logistic hubs to reinforce maritime shipping competitiveness, whilst developing overland and air logistic facilities linked with ports to revitalize the local economy. Let me move on to the issue of the marine industry's eco-friendly transition. These are the words of the 44th U.S. President Barack Obama, spoken at the 2014 UN Climate Change Conference. As stated, it is our generation's solemn responsibility to preserve and pass on a sustainable environment. An obligation to reduce carbon emissions is not confined to specific countries or industries. The shipping industry, accounting for about 3% of global carbon emissions, is no exception. Over the past few years, the IMO and the EU have toughened maritime environmental regulations to preserve the ecosystem in an eco-friendly manner and cut greenhouse gas emissions. In July this year, the IMO announced a net zero target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions from vessels by 100% by the year 2050 at its 80th MEPC conference. Due to the EEXI and the CII regulations put in place early this year, vessels deemed harmful for climate change are at risk of being decommissioned from the shipping industry. Moreover, the EU set a target of carbon neutrality by 2050 and announced in 2021 Fit for 55, designed to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030. As part of the legislative package, the EU ETS and the Fuel EU Maritime will be implemented with regards to the shipping industry. Other industries related to shipping are demanding reductions in vessel-originated emissions. Global firms such as Amazon and IKEA have unveiled plans to transport all their goods using net zero-emission vessels starting from 2040. The Suez Canal Authority is evaluating the option of providing incentives for vessels using the canal if they are powered by eco-friendly fuels. More stringent environmental regulations across the world are accelerating technological development for mitigating carbon emissions and signal the opening of a new era. The global marine industry is already paying attention to eco-friendly fuel-based propulsion system. LNG propulsion technology is already deployed in a variety of ships, and HD Korea Shipbuilding and Offshore Engineering successfully built the world's first methanol-fueled vessel in September. Additionally, ongoing development of ammonia and hydrogen as fuels is expected to create a new market for environment-friendly vessels. That said, the shipping industry is having trouble adapting to environmental regulations. This is because the toughening of international requirements surrounding carbon neutrality is taking place faster than the feasible pace of technological development in the marine industry. Among the difficulties confronted by carriers are the burdensome costs of replacing vessels with eco-friendly ones, increasing financing costs due to interest rate hikes, and extended shipbuilding timelines driven by order concentrations. Notably, current eco-friendly shipbuilding technology is mainly geared toward large vessels, resulting in small and medium-sized carriers operating smaller ships left out in the cold. Such uncertainty over the marine industry requires financing to play a bigger role. Throughout history, financing has helped people overcome difficulties of the present and achieve goals of the future. The fact that the English word finance originated from Latin finis, meaning goal, speaks volumes about the essence of financing. The marine industry is capital intensive and carries high risks. It takes a long period from the point of shipbuilding to generating profits through shipping, making the industry very susceptible to market changes. Importantly, ever-strengthening global environmental regulations bring ever more challenges. The laundry list includes developing next-generation, highly efficient vessel technology and manufacturing facilities, securing a large eco-friendly fleet, and making ports digitally smart. The list goes on. However, if we are to emerge as a marine powerhouse and stand proudly as a logistic hub connecting Eurasia and the Pacific, the marine and financial industries need to move in lockstep. And there should be a cooperation mechanism between the two so marine businesses easily obtain financing to proactively invest in new technology and infrastructure. And this requires policy financing to perform the task of priming the pump and active participation by private sector financial services. An array of financial support platforms, including financial investment through the capital market and joint financing with overseas institutions, is also essential. The KDB has worked hard for the development of the marine industry since its founding in 1954. We have played the role of pioneer in ship financing, supported shipbuilders to win orders through a seamless issuance of RG, and promoted the construction of large-scale marine infrastructure. Our bank underwent reorganization early this year, and as a result, the second office of marine industry financing was newly created in a bid to expand a team devoted to marine financing in Busan and strengthen its capabilities. In the second half of this year, we launched KDB Smart Ocean Infrastructure Fund program focused on major ports' green and digital transformation projects in a departure from existing funds with a focus on vessels. And that took a budget of $1.2 billion. Busan Newport Smart Container Pier Project, funded with 240 billion won from the program, is scheduled to be completed by November. This signals that efforts to enhance the port's competitiveness have already begun. Also, in recognition of eco-friendly trends, we are supporting projects to introduce alternative fuel-powered vessels and promoting the adoption of LNG bunkering vessels and wind turbine installation vessels. High value-added specialized ships expected to lead the industry into the future. We at the KDB are committed to providing utmost support to ensure a long-term growth of the marine industry centered around the Busan and Gyeongnam region. Without being satisfied with the role of priming the pump for the industry's growth, we will work tirelessly to create a dynamic financial market to encourage active participation by private sector players and other market participants. Distinguished guests, the term risk we often use is derived from the Greek word which helmsmen used to warn of rocks ahead. The marine industry is fraught with numerous risks, such as the sluggish global economy, conflicts between nations, and stronger international environmental regulations. It is time for us to pool our wisdom to precisely assess rapid market changes and chart a new course forward. I wish today's 17th Marine Money will be a place for fruitful discussions, providing a preview of the future blueprint of the industry. In closing, I wish all of you nothing but the best. Thank you.